Alright, so this will not be easy here. We found a mine already though. Damn, I don't have the key with me. This is gonna be all bad. Damn. Okay, so this one doesn't have a fucking portal. Damn it. I think this is copper, I just spelled it wrong. This is an old body that died, I'm sure. We need to backtrack now. The fuck? My god. All these tears just running around in my face. Oh, there's another bee. There's another beehive. Oh my god. So sometimes sometimes I feel like the bees will spawn in the same spot. So I'm gonna mark this and see if we can keep collecting bees, because if they do spawn this way, it'll give us a food source at whatever bases are nearest. Oh my goodness, how much does it want? Okay, I got the bee. Oh my goodness. I think Ian has the right idea, trying to use the boat to travel from base to base. Oh, but the running is brutal. Damn, that fool didn't even notice me. He was glitched out. Oh my god, I had to kill me the whole time. What an idiot, dude. And sometimes we do this stupid shit, it makes me mad. Okay, so shit. Oh my god, stop it. Okay. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. We have to go all the way fucking back. I need to make a helmet, iron helmet, and upgrade it. Oh yeah, I was thinking about bringing the smelters over here. Because we have a whole new forest here to look around in too, like there's a lot of copper here. It's funny how Eden's been living off of necktails. She eats the meat from these lizards. And she loves it. She's like, necktails! These are good for flint arrows. I don't know why I'm picking them up though, because I'm oh, we have another base over here. I can put them down. Ooh. Oh shit, that was a fish. Yay, Eden made that. She made it like flat so it's not hard to get in. Okay. Okay. Damn, how do we have 50 bird things here? Hmm. Okay. Oh my god, I didn't fucking fix my shit. We gotta try to ignore these guys and go straight to our destination. There we go. That way we don't have, it don't waste no time. Just realized I didn't eat. I need to let this food kick in so I get all my health, and then I'll go in there and just fucking hit that shit. Cause that fool really can't kill me, the regular ones, but that elite one can. Alright, almost there. I think I can do it. Shit, we don't want to kill him. Man, what the? My game is freaking out. Yeah, no. Fuck. Alright, I need to go back to the other bit. I need to go back and return this. Whatever. Damn it. What the fuck is holding me down, man? What the fuck is holding me down? Oh, is it this? Okay. Wow, I can't believe that. At least I'm like right next to my spawn, so they were all just ganged up right there. That's kind of weird. What the f? This is fucking bullshit. That stupid ass. Oh my god. The belt is causing an issue. It's not allowing me to take all my stuff because it's too heavy. Which is difficult now because I just need to grab it and run, and these fools are watching it. And this is typical in the game where enemies watch your gear when you die. I need to be able to just run up to it and grab it, but these fools are watching it. See, that fool's watching it right there, two of them. Oh, it looks like he went the other way. Oh, he's right there, fuck. He doesn't know I'm here. Bro, go back the other way. Where's the belt? Nice, I made it. Alright, let's get... We have to go back down to the other spot. It fucking forced me to take that shit. Motherfuckers, get out of here, man. Oh my goodness. I threw some iron down here. Okay. Next. Yeah, I need some talk news radio. Takes a while to get to this base. beast, man. It's taking fucking forever for my adrenaline to go all the way up, man. I suppose I can make this one lower. Man, what the fuck is going on here, dude? Get the fuck out of here. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I think they want me to sleep. Shit. What was this one called? Swamp 2. So that will allow me to go back and forth. I feel like we need to bring we need to bring the smelters here because we're gonna have to be smelting here. We can't bring all this shit over here, so. Damn it. Carrying too much. Alright. Okay, we need a tool here. We need to flatten this base out. So. Shit, I need to also fix my stuff. We need the hoe. 2 rocks and wood. We also need to put an upgrade. We need to upgrade the bench somewhere. We need to create one of these benches, which I think is gonna be a pain in the ass right now. Yeah, we need to wait. No, we don't want that. We want this. We need 6 copper. Fuck. When you ever mine and stuff like this, the enemies will hear you and they'll come running to you. You like literally have to kill all the enemies in the area or some shit. Feels like there's a spawner maybe. the fuck is going on with these fools, man? Oh, there is a spawner literally right here. Okay. We need to get away for a second. My health is building up too slow and they were getting the best of me. Plus my weapon's about to break. I need to take this shit back. Like ASAP. I keep forgetting to do it. Alright, let's go fix this. Damn it. Okay, just trying to put all this stuff away, making sure that everything's put away. Alright, okay. Alright, I think we need to bring the other ones, and I also need to make holders for these ones. So you put these in front of them. It's not a big deal. I just seen some guy do it in his gameplay, and it helps to catch all the little crap that comes out. Otherwise, it'll end up like just sliding down in front of it, and you'll have a big old pile of crap. So at least with these, it kind of helps keep it in a little bit, which is kind of nice. Alright, let's try to go get the other smelters. Oh my god, what was it? What the fuck was that, dude? Jeez. Okay. Wood and stone. Beautiful. guys keep fucking with everything. Oh my god. Okay. Well, okay. Alright, so we smelted all we can smelt, I think. 20 pieces. Oh, damn, see, this is the hard part too, is that we cannot do upgrades here. I would like to put this into upgrades. How far are we from the base? Oh, we're so far. This is the base here. And this is us here. We'd have to carry like a full fucking trip of just as much of this as we can carry. Otherwise, I'd have to make all the stuff to the upgrades here, and that's difficult. We have like all these built. 3 of these are already built. One requires 20 iron. Copper, another one 15 iron. Damn it, dude. Yeah, I might as well go get more. Shit. Well, because we're just kind of working this area. So, I mean, I can make myself a helmet, but, like, I'd like to... This helmet's maxed. Let's see. Armor's 14. Yeah, see, this one's armor's 14 too. But, you know, that's why you want to get them the upgrades. This one is 15. We can do this one. This would max this out. That would max out my body and my top and my bottom. And I would just need to make the head. But then there's my weapon too, though. It's important that one gets knocked up. But I want my defense. That's what I'm really kind of going for. I almost feel like just making the run now and doing it. Oh, yeah, and then coming back in the teleporter to Swamp 2, so I can just run it one time and then come back. Fuck. Let's go. Let me put some stupid shit to listen to on, because this is gonna be a long ass run. The runs are stressful.
Holy shit! That
Sorry about that, gentlemen. That was my other intro.
that intro.
We are a lot. That intro's what?
Shirtless?
That intro is fire, Alan. We need one for Jewcast like that.
I'm working on it, actually. I'm working on it. It's going to be very different, though. So, and I promise I won't mention any of it. So,
I'm Yisrael Chai and dancing Jews and stuff like that.
yeah, the dancing Jews, the people coming out of the wall.
Oh, my buddies.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to another Jewcast. Me and Alan Roberts once again. Our special guest host Louis Shanker back again, and our guest for today, Owen Schroyer. Welcome to Jewcast.
Glad to be back. Glad to see you. You've been absent. You've been missed on the X frequencies.
Thank you for saying that. You're one of the few people that really stood up, and a lot of people know me on the right wing. Like inside baseball, I get to be a little controversial sometimes because I don't hold back at all ever. And but Owen said free. Oh yeah, people that don't know, I am banned on Twitter right now. Hopefully,
digitally exterminated.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm coming back. Jack Masovic tweeted for me to come back. Laura Loomer, Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones. A lot of people said that, free Andrew Meyer, but no action yet. So if you're watching this, tell Elon, bring back Andrew Meyer. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later. I don't want to focus on me being banned, although It does suck. It really does suck. But we got Owen Schroyer here, and right off the bat, all the gold always happens in the pregame. Owen saw Lewis. How long ago do you guys go back?
I was heavily promoting Shiva Ayadu Ray. I think I actually had a relationship with Shiva before he ran against Elizabeth Warren. He was one of the most vocal voices for Trump before it was cool. He was really pushing, I think he was pushing the Indians for Trump movement in 2016, if I recall correctly. So I was doing a little outreach with him on that. We formed a nice little relationship, got along, and then he ran against Elizabeth Warren. They rigged that entire deal against him. So I went down there with Lewis, and we kind of ruffled some feathers when they were rigging it against Shiva. And then
I remember a Periscope. You were going into like a bar or something. They wouldn't let you in.
I'll explain that. A little bit of context. So in the Shiva campaign, I think I was 19 at the time. I was a college student, and I had seen Shiva because he made this very viral video explaining when Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Accords, how the entire system was a scam to take control away from the U.S. and give it to the globalists. And so when I saw he was running for Congress, I reached out, and he consistently polled at 14.9%. And in 2018, the state of Massachusetts made an arbitrary decision not to allow any independent candidates on unless they reached a 15% threshold. Now keep in mind, Shiva was the first candidate to run for Senate and get the 10,000 certified signatures required to appear on the ballot and not as a write-in in 50 years in Massachusetts. So they announced that he would not be allowed to participate in the 3 debates between Jeff Deal, a faker who, honestly, he doesn't even have the confidence to get his wife to take his last name, and Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, the fake Indian. And they announced that these 3 debates, the first one would be held in a news studio in Boston, the second one would be held in my backyard of Springfield, Massachusetts, and the third one again in a news studio in Boston. Now, only the second debate had tickets available to the public, and I scoured for weeks trying to find out what the deal was with the tickets. Eventually, it was printed in the local newspaper that tickets would be available to the public on this Sunday, starting first come, first serve, 55 tickets to the public. So I went to the homeless encampment in Springfield with Dunkin' Donuts, and we all walked over to the newspaper. When they opened up, we got every single ticket.
Wow.
So we filled the entire debate we were going to have, all of Shiva's supporters, and Shiva sitting in the audience, and there was a huge scuffle with the Deal campaign working with Elizabeth Warren, pointing out Shiva's volunteers. Owen flew in. We had Michael, the Blacks for Trump guy, there, and about 15 of us get led into the debate. Shiva's kept out, Owen's kept out, Michael's kept out. The police get very aggressive, and it was like an amazing way that the event unfolded. And then we had like a celebration at an Italian place afterwards, and Owen and Harrison were there.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was what was the craziest part about it. It was like there was nobody there for Deal or Warren, literally nobody. And we had hundreds of people out there, and they weren't letting us in. And we ended up surrounding the building, and the police were kind of used as like a buffer. I don't know how wittingly they were, but they did their job, and they kind of kept us out, kept us away from the building, and then they blocked Shiva from going in. And it was one of those deals where in politics, the establishment will never let the anti-establishment win the day. And so even when you put in the right effort to win the narrative, or even just have a victory in a single moment like that we had that night, they'll do everything to stop it. I think at one point they were like, there were cameras outside, and at one point I think they were like, hey, no more cameras outside, because it showed how Shiva had all the supporters, and there was nobody else. So they were like, hey, turn all these cameras off.
Wow.
Because there's nobody else here but Shiva supporters. That was like, it's crazy. That was like ancient history now.
Yeah, deep lore.
Anything that happened like 6 years ago, it feels like a million years ago.
Yes,
So
it
much
does.
has happened.
And I guess this is kind of what we're seeing right now in like the MAGA online sphere. And I'd like to hear Owen talk a little bit about it. Is like you have all these new players that weren't around in 2016, weren't around during the first administration, were nowhere to be seen during the period between November the 7th, 2020 to January the 6th, 2021. And now, like 2023, they come onto the stage, they promote DeSantis, Trump wins in like a miraculous comeback, survives an assassination attempt. And these people want to come and say like, oh, and you're not MAGA because you have a disagreement on this policy relating to a country halfway around the world. Andrew, you're not MAGA because you have a big nose. Alan, you're not MAGA because you don't care who someone sleeps with. And like, it's crazy. And it drives us all crazy.
You know, let me put it into plain words. The issue that's dividing the right is obviously the issue of Israel and America's foreign policy. And I think that when you talk about these Johnny-come-latelys, these sunshine patriots, the people that decided to support Trump after it became popular, there's something they don't understand about the original Trump supporters and the original base, because they weren't there. They didn't have to go through what we went through. And I'm noticing that even people that were there with me in 2015 and 2016 that might have a different opinion on Israel. They might be very pro-Israel. They might like our foreign policy in the Middle East, whereas I have a disagreement. I've noticed that even those voices, we still can move forward amicably. We can still go into the huddle and call a play and execute a play for the American First agenda, even if we do have a disagreement on the foreign policy. But it's all of these people that have popped up since 2020 all of a sudden that are now deciding that they get to dictate what's MAGA and they get to dictate access into the new MAGA establishment. And they're the ones that seem to take these things personally and draw these hard lines on foreign policy, where people that I have a disagreement with on foreign policy that were there before 2020, we have a disagreement on that and we say, hey, we have a disagreement, good game, and we can still move forward. So there seems to be. But if you go back to 2015 and 2016, it's really just the same song and dance. The same people that are gatekeeping MAGA now were the same voices that tried to stop Trump from winning in 2015 and 2016. And you know, the internet is forever. You can go back and you can look at the National Review story where the biggest names on the right, like Mark Levin and Dana Lash and Ben Shapiro, and I don't remember who all signed off on that National Review story, but it was conservatives against Trump. It was a huge right-wing deal at the time. It was like their last push. It was like the establishment conservatives at that point. It was their last push to try to stop Trump from winning the primary, and ultimately, obviously, Trump won, and now all of them love Trump. But what they seem to forget is that we already went through all of this. We already had to deal with the establishment right in 2015 and 2016, and the anti-establishment right won. We won. We got Trump in. Trump is our guy. He's not your guy. He's our guy. You guys decided to join the team after we won.
Sure.
And so it's kind of creating this rub that I think goes beyond the foreign policy dispute, and it becomes this battle for territory, and it becomes this personal battle now, where I think you have a lot of people that are desperate in politics. They're desperate because they lack self-confidence. They're desperate because they lack self-awareness, and they're scared that if they don't make all the right moves, that whatever territory they have in right-wing politics or in politics in general, they're going to lose it. So that's why, in my mind, that's why they're behaving so erratically and in such extreme ways right now. It's out of fear. I think it's out of fear and it's out of desperation. Because they're losing again. In my mind, I think they're losing again, just like they did in 2015 and 2016, and they're afraid what might happen if they lose again, because everything seems to have a higher cost now. Everything in politics seems to only get more expensive, and I don't mean dollar amounts, maybe that right, too, but I mean in personal investment. I mean in personal risk. Everything seems to be a little more expensive now than it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But we already went there. We already paid the price. And so that seems to be what they forget, is that we already went through this in 2015 and 2016. And then my frustration with the right now and where the larger movement is, it's like, dang guys, did we just hit the reset button on this game? It's like we just played, when you used to play the old Nintendo games, there was no memory card. You had to play the game to completion. You couldn't save your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on level 30. You had to either play the game till it was done, or you hit the reset button and you're on level 0 again. And so it feels like in a lot of ways, I wouldn't say we've gone back to level 0, but it feels like in a lot of ways we've kind of gone back. It feels like we've gone back a lot of levels, and the right-wing movement has kind of gone back to establishment conservative politics instead of kind of the right-wing dissidents that got
Yes.
Trump over the finish line.
I was joking before we went live about Brillen Hollyhand, the kid that I guess he wants to be the next Charlie Kirk or whatever.
Oh,
Of
But
course,
my
like
one
God,
kid
I
wants
can't
him to be.
believe
Who
I did
knows
that.
who knows what desires he had and all of that.
Right,
Well, I
but
guess
like,
it's
like his
okay. I
politics
collected
are
some
like
medals
pre-Trump,
on the way over
Romney
here.
era, McCain era, like whatever it was that he was saying. It's like, did you miss the whole MAGA movement that happened? And it's like there's this push to try and erase the MAGA movement from people like Mark Levin, who's like claims to be MAGA, but he was never a Trump guy. I pulled up this cover, by the way, against Trump.
Oh, you got it. There it is right there. Yeah.
I pulled it up. First name on the list actually is Glenn Beck. I forgot about.
Ah, yes. Now, to Glenn Beck's credit, I will give Glenn Beck credit. He did apologize. He did come out and do kind of an apology tour saying he got things wrong. I didn't see anybody else do that, but I will give Beck credit. He did do that.
I'll never forget
Probably-
him dunking his face into a bowl
Cheetos?
of crushed up Cheetos.
Oh, these are
That's
iron
the
heads.
stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Ugh.
But Meghan McCain's husband, Ben Dominic, is on this list. Dana Lash, like you named, Katie Pavlich. So, yeah, these people were completely
gotta
against
get that.
Trump. And like you said, Owen, like we went hard in the paint and we won. It's like I don't like to see outsiders, people that just got here, dictating to us what's going on now. And I spent a lot of time on Twitter Spaces before I got banned recently. Actually, that's part of why I got banned is communists on that space. I can't. What this chick calls herself a MAGA communist, like she praised it, MAGA communism.
Who's
Like,
that?
Geopolitics. The DD is for Donbass Devushka. She used to pretend to be a Russian Jew, and yeah, she praised MAGA communism. She wrote America is evil, and like she was trying to infiltrate the right, pose as one of us, and then move us to these crazy positions. And when I talked about her being a communist,
Well, so Andrew, you're bringing up an interesting point, and to bring it at like a more general level with what you're saying, Owen, which is absolutely correct, that the same people who opposed Trump every step of the way are now trying to oppose his base. And as Trump said in his inaugural address when he took office in 2017, the time for empty promises is past. Now arrives the hour of action. So going off of what Andrew's saying, I feel like one of the biggest challenges in the MAGA movement wresting control away from the gatekeepers, from the establishment that want to go back to 2012, is these elements that are coming in and just torpedoing our momentum at every critical juncture. Like within an hour of Charlie Kirk's brutal assassination, you have some of the most prominent accounts on Twitter, many of them anonymous, promoting ridiculous conspiracy theories that then diverts our attention away from the real issue of leftist terrorists that want every single one of us on this discussion murdered and would celebrate it without a second of hesitation.
You know, just real quick, these the basically the people that are on that list. Do the names not all seem like they got wildly popular during 2020 when nobody else could say anything? They seem to be allowed to say whatever they wanted.
Are you talking
like-
about on the National Review list?
Yeah, like think about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, they built a conservative media outlet, put it on to Roku during a time when I couldn't even say that COVID was a cult.
Well, if you go through that list, I could tell you right now if any one of those guys or gals was ever censored online. I could tell you that right now.
yeah, it's like
And from the names that you mentioned before, and I know there's more names on that list, but from names that you mentioned, not a single one of those individuals was ever censored online. So to answer your question, no, they were allowed to operate when we were censored.
yeah, more
Exactly.
Mark Halperin, Bill Kristol, who now runs the Bulwark, again trying to replace MAGA with just old neocon politics. Eric Erickson, same type of guy. Like these are the people, they want to pretend to be MAGA from the old establishment. And to me, it's just galling. Like, everybody knows the people that were there, the OG MAGA stars 2016, and it's like they did everything they could to knock off Gavin McInnes, Alex Jones, Stefan Molyneux, Owen Schroyer, Laura Loomer. Like, Laura Loomer had to chain herself to the Twitter building to try and get attention for her Twitter account being banned. I'm considering doing that, by the way. Should I go to the?
You know what? Maybe. Why don't you? You could actually. Oh my gosh! What if you put on a blonde wig and did it? I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. It made me laugh. You know, it's funny because you bring up Loomer, and Loomer and I are vehemently opposed on foreign policy right now. Vehemently opposed on what the Trump administration is doing in foreign policy. But yet, Loomer has never attacked me like illegitimately, like some of these other voices. Loomer has never called for me to be censored. Loomer has never tried to gatekeep me out of anything because she was there in 2016. She understands it. She's not running from a debate. We vehemently oppose each other on foreign policy, but she's never tried to gatekeep me out of anything. So that's the difference. That's the difference between the names that you mentioned. The people that have been through it, the people that have been censored, the people that have been attacked, the people that were there on the ground in 2015, we're able to have these disagreements, but still move the ball forward in a better direction, where you feel like the new people that are trying to take over MAGA, and maybe they successfully have, and are gatekeeping it now, they're not interested. They're not interested in moving the ball forward. They seem to be interested in keeping the ball where it is, because that's where they feel the most comfortable.
That was my biggest issue with Bondi getting the AG spot. Like, I was super excited when Matt Gaetz was announced as the AG, and then when it was announced, oh, he's not going to be AG, it felt a little bit like when General Flynn was fired by Mike Pence. It's like the old establishment taking power from the new players. And Pam Bondi, was she ever MAGA? No, she was a old politics, Florida AG, do nothing. And I have the biggest issue. The thing Lewis was saying earlier, like, we had all of the mandate of heaven to go and prosecute every single leftist that was saying, shoot right-wingers, shoot conservatives, shoot Christians, shoot white men, and specifically named, like, shoot Matt Walsh or shoot even I think Hassan Piker or Destiny, one of these guys specifically said to shoot Charlie Kirk. And all of those people should have been locked up. That's incitement to violence. Straight up incitement to violence when you're telling people go and shoot right-wingers. And even, I know you were swatted, Owen, Chase Geyser, a bunch of different people have been swatted, and I still have yet to see a single arrest for any of that. And it makes me insane that Pam Bondi, she goes on Fox News every day. She's supposed to be the general of lawfare in the country. She's running lawfare for MAGA, but she doesn't get.
I mean, honestly, it seems like Harmeet Dillon is running circles around Bondi.
Yeah, Harmeet Dillon is doing a pretty good job, and whatever rope that Janine Pirro has right now, she seems to be doing a pretty good job lassoing some of the DC criminals too. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a cabinet meeting today. The Trump administration had a cabinet meeting. Most of them were there. I think Rubio might have been the only one absent. He was visiting with Netanyahu today, and Bondi was in there. And she just, at this point, she is so out of place. At this point, she just looks so out of place. She looks so out of her league. Trump put a couple of the cabinet members on the spot today when the media was asking questions. He threw a couple of the cabinet members on the spot, and they had to step up. And Hegseth was one example who did a great job. And when he threw it to Bondi, man, I mean, she's like a deer in the headlights. She just seems totally out of her league. She seems totally out of her element. She kind of embarrassed herself multiple times in the answers that she gave to President Trump, or the non-answers, I guess you might say. I don't know how much longer we can tolerate Pam Bondi being the Attorney General. I mean, I don't know why Trump hasn't moved on yet. My guess is that he doesn't want the press. He doesn't want the headlines. He just doesn't want to deal with the mess of it right now. But she's really we're getting into the point where Bondi is becoming a liability. And I think we're reaching the point now where it's like, if we're going to properly deal with this radical left-wing terror element, then we have to replace Pam Bondi. I don't see there's any other option at this point. She's either going to have to do something drastic, or she just has to go, and we have to bring in somebody that's ready to deal with this stuff.
You're absolutely right. It's like if you imagine that we're in some kind of war, and then Trump calls up the head of the army. He goes, "Are the tanks ready?" He goes, "Yeah, the tanks are ready." He calls up the Navy. "Are the submarines in the sea?" Submarines in the sea. calls up Pam Bondi at the Air Force. Are the planes in the air? What do you mean the planes in the air? We have to fuel them. There's a war, there's a battle. She's lost. Like, and this is ultimately, I feel like a lot of the problems we just talked about in the digital ecosystem. There's so many people on our side are not waking up to where we are, what the left did for the last 5 years, what they did for the last 15 years, what they are trying to do moving forward, and how many of their terrorist cells they have mobilized across the U.S. and are waiting for their opportunity to cause an actual event.
You know, that brings me to something, I don't know if you want to get into, Lewis, but you have a very incredible story about the left and some other time, maybe. These people go after people in the sickest ways. Like, they go after people to destroy them. And honestly, like, thousands of arrests for incitement to violence is mild for what these people deserve. Like, every Reddit, Blue Sky, and Twitter.
I think you're talking about something a little bit different, because you're talking more about the general people, and while there might be a case for inciting to violence, I'm more focused on if the investigation goes through and people that are actually willing to go and commit violence. And we've seen hundreds of thousands of people publicly celebrate and exhibit their bloodlust for American patriots.
Very true.
Maybe that should tell us that, like, it's time for, like at some point in time, we either need to accept the fact that people are going to have to coexist, as Owen's been talking about. Like, you know, like, you can coexist with people that you have a difference of opinion with, as long as there's some common ground, right? Common ground. We all want freedom. I can exist with that just about anybody. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care what the fuck you want to be called. Leave me the fuck alone, and I'm good with you. I don't give a shit, right? But when people are celebrating death, like, what would they do to somebody like me? Like, what would they do to you? Charlie Kirk was fucking, like,
One is dead.
The volume was at like 2. Like, I scream it at 10 every fucking day. You know, like, if they're gonna kill him and celebrate it, they're definitely gonna want me dead.
I mean, I know for a fact that Andrew, Owen, and I have all received death threats. Like,
man, I've received thousands of death threats over the course of these years. Like,
yeah, I didn't want
thousands.
to speak for you.
There's literally a documentary about the fat acceptance community threatening my life and trying to cancel me. It's called Dark Side of Fat Acceptance.
That's the thing about, like, being suspended on Twitter and, like, what they got me for. Like, they got me for a mean comment, and literally Grok is now saying that, oh, he wrote her abusive comments, and Grok even said, like it had the potential to cause harm. That's what Grok is now saying about my suspension. But I was literally threatened with death by this guy. Said, I'm going to kill you or the next Jew I see with a knife. And I reported that comment. And the moderation, literally, they emailed me back. There's nothing wrong with that comment. It's fine.
Well, there's a new president now. I mean, that person, according to the Attorney General of Florida, should probably be arrested. They set a new precedent now in Florida because of the Loomer, Hammer, and Dillon case, where a death threat was made to them, an anonymous death threat. They actually got the guy and arrested him. But, you know, let me be more specific to what you were just talking about, Alan. I have no doubt today. I have no doubt. If I wanted to tonight, you know, there's an individual next. I've never met him personally. We've talked privately, and we've done a public debate, or maybe two, named Ayal Yacobi. And he's a big voice for Jewish activism, stood up against the pro-Palestinian protesters and everything else, and got a lot of notoriety. I think he's pretty well connected in the political Jewish community. And he goes really hard on me on X. He goes really hard on me on X. But you know what? I have no doubt if I went out with Ayal tonight to have a steak dinner, that we would get along just fine. And we might be passionately opposed on certain issues, but I have no doubt that he and I would be able to break bread and get along, just like Laura Loomer and I would be able to get along, despite having passionate differences on foreign policy. And so there's a difference between a healthy debate and a passionate, heated discussion versus this new bot farm, troll army, anonymous accounts that pop up here and really don't help anybody. And you know, I think that there's a lot of different types of subversion happening here. And I think what is going on is you have accounts that are posing as one thing, but they're meant to send you in a different direction. Like, I see these accounts that get these massive followings. Nobody knows who they are, but these anonymous accounts, they get these massive followings, and they have an Israel flag in their name, and then they go on there and they pretend like they're the most hardcore Zionists and the most hardcore Israel supporters, but I think they intentionally take it to a level to derive hatred. I think they intentionally do that. I don't think these people are Jewish. I don't think these people have ever even been to Israel. I think they're just there to promote this infighting and make more people either dislike Israel or dislike Jews. That's what I see going on. And I think it happens in many different directions, quite frankly. I think it happens in many different directions. But that seems to be the hottest contested issue. And so when it comes to get back to Bondi and the left, and Trump actually said this today, and he's right. I don't know if he even realized what he was saying when he said it. But the average person that's out on these left street protests is a nobody. They're a nobody. They probably barely have any control over their own lives, quite frankly. And I don't say that to be mean. Let's just call it what it is. They're probably, in some way, shape, or form, a low life, and they're struggling in their own way, disenfranchised, whatever, and they're out on the streets, part of this protest for whatever reason. Maybe they believe it, maybe they don't. That does nothing. You could arrest 100,000 of those people, and that might deter the next protest, but it's not going to stop it. The people you have to go after are the founders. The people you have to go after are the funders. The people you have to go after are the organizers. And until you do that, stuff is just going to continue. And when Trump brought that to Bondi today, it was like you were saying, Louis, she was like, oh, we need gas in the planes? Oh, you mean planes fly in the sky? I didn't know. And Trump kind of like he pivoted off her real fast because he realized, gosh, she has nothing to know.
And that was the thing that stuck in my head when he picked her. It's like, if you look at all of the people that he put up for the various positions in the cabinet, the constant through line is that these are people that are excellent on camera, great at delivering a message in an interview. And then there's one.
She's kind of cute, though.
I'll give you that.
She's got some blonde hair, some blue eyes. You know, she's not. She's got.
Who
some
picked
curve.
the backups? No, but who picked the backups? Because that's who he should worry about. Like, he wanted Matt Gaetz. Well, who picked the backup? Like because Matt Gaetz would have. I think we would kind of agree that there'd be some people at least been arrested and in jail.
Would have done way better than Pam Bondi. It's not.
And we would very likely have the Epstein list, which Pam Bondi now says doesn't really exist. Like that should be enough for us. Like for the people, for we the people, that should be enough for us. Like, you guys ran on a promise of releasing this list. If you say there's nothing to it, release all the fucking files. You know, but instead we're letting people play in our face. You know,
that
like
whole
wrong.
rollout has to be the most incompetent thing to come out of the Trump administration, and that's directed by Pam Bondi. She's got these people out there holding binders, making fools of themselves, and like some of the people doing that, like she actually had some of the best people from 2016 even holding up these binders like they got something special, only to make a fool out of themselves. That was incredibly damaging. Pam Bondi could have been fired for that alone. It's incredible that she hasn't been fired.
I mean, honestly,
or it was on purpose. You know,
no,
like
I think Bondi thought she was doing a good publicity stunt, and it just blew up in her face. And I can tell you that was all her. That was all her idea. She didn't even clear it with anybody. She did it all by herself. She didn't clear it with anybody. And when the rest of the administration found out, because they bring in social media influencers and they do these events and they bring them in and they kind of court them a little bit. Nobody knew that she was going to do that except her. And so when she did it, the other cabinet members that were there were kind of like, what the hell is going on here? And it kind of just, well, the rest is history.
I want to touch on a couple of the things you said, Owen. When you're talking about these people posing, there's this one account, he's got an Israeli flag in his bio. His name is like Vivid or something.
Yeah.
And he's an Indian.
Vivid prowess.
Yeah, he's an Indian from India. And there's
Do
another
we know
one.
that? Do we know that for a fact?
So I have a group chat with like 30 different Jewish people. Some of them are in Israel, some of them are here. They're all younger. We're all like under the age of 30. And we go back and forth debating whether or not this guy's Indian. There's like all these accounts that give Jews like a terrible name. A lot of them are anonymous. And then at the same time, you have other accounts that make the most cartoonish criticisms of Israel, to the point that when Owen wants to have a discussion, he's going to get called like a demon by some preacher or something. And it's all done to make it so that real Americans can't discuss real solutions to real problems.
They want us hyper focused on the Middle East. Like I was gonna say to Owen, that I'm pretty sure that Vivid account is Indian. I thought I saw like confirmation for a fact that it is, but I wouldn't testify to it.
I would bet that it's not an American or an Israeli. I'd say it's a pretty safe bet that it's neither of those.
I'm pretty sure I've seen confirmation it's Indian. And then you on the other side you've got Red Eagle Media or Red Eagle Politics, and it's a Pakistani. You got Adam E. Media commenting on America all the time. He's literally Pakistani. So I want these foreigners out of our conversation. I don't want them to, like talking. This is what America needs to do, influencing America. They have no interest.
There's even this Jewish guy living in the UK with like a name like Khalid Muhammad or something that tweeted out, "Dear Jews, please start praying that J.D. Vance never becomes president of the United States." And I quote to him, I was like, "Hey, dear Americans, don't listen to the lamentations of British foreigners. This is nonsense." To these people, America and American politics is the top TV reality program that you can find anywhere. And for a lot of the rich people in different countries that are bored, they see the idea of fucking with the American political environment as a hobby, as an entertaining thing to do.
I remember when the biggest thing people were pissed about was like Ian Miles Chong is a Malaysian. He's never been to America. He's never stepped foot in America. He's only ever lived in Malaysia. And like he's getting in our politics and telling us what to do. And all of MAGA used to be like, fuck out of here, Ian Miles Chong. You're not American. Shut the hell up. But now it's like there's dozens of these accounts infiltrating it. It's just crazy that this is the environment.
This is the key difference. I know Ian Miles Chong is Malaysian and based out of a foreign country. I know that. I know who he is, and I know where he's from. So I have ample more respect, and I will hear from that person 100 times before some anonymous account that I have no idea who it is. I have no idea where it's from. If you're not willing to, and I'm not going to take some stand against anonymous accounts. I understand why they exist, and I'm not going to make a big fuss about anonymous accounts, right? We all understand why they exist. But when you kind of enter this realm of I'm the agitator, or you enter this realm where I'm going to pick a side of the political propaganda to start spewing, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, if I don't know who you are or where you're from, I probably shouldn't be taking any stake out of what you're saying. I probably shouldn't be investing any emotion with what you're saying, because it's highly likely that you're here either to intentionally agitate me or you're part of a paid-for propaganda campaign, which is either an individual taking money, or now we see these SIM card farms. They just busted one in Europe. There was a huge one in the EU that they just busted. And you've probably seen it before. It's like this wall of phones, and then they have like stacks of these SIM cards, and they can just send out data.
Because when we were all getting banned in 2020 during COVID, I used to go to Walmart and buy the dollar SIM card so I could make new Twitter accounts to tweet out like, "Don't take the vaccine, burn your mask." And now they're doing it at an industrial scale to confuse Americans.
Yeah.
No, they're going to throw another. They just classified another like 20% of people as obese medically. Like they recently just did that. Like, and the way they did that is I've said.
You know that West Virginia is the most obese state at 40%. Well, I think they said it's over 40% now. That is outrageous.
Dude, I hate fat people.
Dude, they're going by waist circumference now too. So it's like 70% American obesity, and people think that like, well, we knew that. All that does is make it so, we're going to spend $7 trillion on healthcare next year. I guarantee it.
Well, we already spend the most on healthcare. We already spend the most on healthcare. We have the most. You could argue we have the most unhealthy population in the world.
Yes, absolutely, and they want it that way. And notice how that's my thing with where I'm really skeptical of this administration now. Ran on a promise of no more pharmaceutical ads. There, Ozempic still every other thing. That one thing, that one hinged thing right there, literally frees us. like society, because it takes away all narrative control. 75% of the mainstream media and social media ad benefits are from pharmaceutical industry. It's not, they don't think they're selling these drugs. They already have drug dealers to do that. They're called doctors. You know, like they are buying control of the narrative. So nobody will speak out against them or any of their political affiliates because of it. That's why the mainstream media.
It's actually even
Yes.
worse than that. It's actually worse than that. And the only reason I know this is because I did time in the Fed. There are doctors that are in prison because they stood up against the big pharmaceutical industries. There are doctors that are in prison right now because they refuse to prescribe pharmaceutical drugs, or some of them will try to, because they have to deal with insurance and they have to deal with, you know, the medical mandates in these hospitals and stuff. And so, you know, they'll sign a fake prescription card, or they'll say, hey, insurance is telling you to take this drug, but you really shouldn't. So, you know, and they get hit with insurance fraud, or they get hit with medical fraud, or they get hit with some other thing. There are doctors sitting in prison because they stood up against the big pharmaceutical industry. In fact, there was one doctor in particular whose case, and he was a Chinese American, and his case made it to the Supreme Court, and they won. And he had 7 other defendants. I believe he had 7 other defendants, and they won, and they still wouldn't release him. He literally won his case. And this case was dropped at the Supreme Court, and they wouldn't release him from prison. Now that was mostly because the system is it's such a nightmare. I mean, it's more of a bureaucratic processing mess. Why he couldn't get released more than anything else. But the point is, they won. He was illegitimately targeted and prosecuted, and they won, and he still couldn't even get out. I was stunned talking to these doctors because, you know, when you get in there and people find out you have a podcast, everybody wants you to hear their story, right? Everybody wants you to prod. So, but I heard some crazy stories about the doctors and other people that stood up against the big pharmaceutical companies too. One who ended up being a great friend of mine, hopefully he'll be out soon, named Billy Taylor. He actually used to be a big poker player, but he started to get involved in some of the stuff during COVID, and he was kind of involved in some mask and emergency protection stuff distribution, but he was against the mandates, and he was calling out the same stuff that we called out, and so they hit him with basically saying that he was taking advantage of the system and up pricing for masks and shit. And he was like, dude, I didn't do any of that. He was like, I literally didn't do any of that. They booked me because I stood against the COVID tyranny.
Wow.
And so I heard
That's
all
insane.
kinds of crazy stories like that.
The story I'm hearing now is that RFK Jr. is getting blocked by other people in the Trump administration. Susie Wiles and some other people are blocking RFK Jr. from fully doing everything that he said he was going to do. And that brings me to something I was thinking earlier. You mentioned Pete Hegseth, Owen. 2028, it's really around the corner. Is there anybody you like? Some people are talking already RFK Jr. for president 2028. I like Pete Hegseth a lot. What do you see for 2028? Who do you think is a good candidate?
This is going to sound crazy to most people on the Republican side right now. But believe me when I tell you this, at least at the current path, at the current pace and the current path that we're on, there will not be anybody from the Trump administration that will be electable. Nobody. Wow. Not even J.D. Vance, not even Pete Hegseth. And I like both of them. I like J.D. Vance. I like Pete. But unless there is a drastic change in this administration as far as policy and execution is concerned, there won't be anybody from this administration that is electable. And quite frankly, Trump doesn't care because he's not running again. So that's not really going to matter.
What do you think of the issues that would sink anybody connected to Trump?
I don't even think it matters. I don't even think it's an issue thing. I think it's the fact that we're not going to get the Epstein list. We're not going to get deep state arrests.
Well, how can we say that?
Foreign policy hasn't really been that great.
Indicted and Comey indicted and Letitia James indicted. How can we say that we're not getting any deep state arrests?
Well, they haven't been arrested yet. Have you seen any of them in cuffs? Have you seen any mugshots?
Well, that's the process.
I guess
I'm curious, Owen. What are your top 3 priorities for Trump to accomplish this term?
He has to stop foreign aid. He has to. foreign aid has to be brought to $0. It just has to be brought to $0. The American economy is not good, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves is they keep saying, "Oh, the American economy is great. The American economy is great." It's not. It's not great. People can barely afford a house. They can barely afford their bills. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Debt is at an all-time high. The national debt just reached an all-time high. The economy is not great. It is not. And the U.S. government has plenty of money, apparently, somehow. The U.S. government has plenty of money. They can spend it wherever the hell they want, but they seem to spend it everywhere else but here. So you have to bring foreign aid down to $0. Now, the big secret, this is the big secret, and nobody in D.C. wants to say it because they'd have to admit how corrupt the whole system is. The big secret is that foreign aid is nothing more than a leverage point. That's all it is. We buy countries off with foreign aid. It's not about helping poor people. It's not about bringing Central America out of socialist hellholes. It has nothing to do with that. All we do is buy people off for foreign policy with foreign aid. And it doesn't really benefit the United States of America. Now, they might claim it does, but really it just benefits the military-industrial complex. It benefits now what is being brought in now with the whole surveillance, AI, technotronic grid. So to me, it's just nothing more than corruption. It's just nothing more than corruption. And that's why I just look at it. Most people vote on the economy, and 60% of Americans say the economy is going the wrong direction. And so that's why I just say, as much as we might like Vance or Hegseth or anybody else with President Trump, if this administration, and it has plenty of time, we're still in the first quarter. I mean, let's just be honest. We're still in the first quarter. There's plenty of things that could happen. And maybe Comey will get arrested. And maybe James will get arrested. And maybe there will be deep state arrests. But at this pace, it's not happening. 60% say the economy is going the wrong direction. And it's going to be I think it's going to be a similar phenomenon that we saw in 2016, where the reason why Trump won is because he was the anti-establishment vote. And I also argue that the Middle East is one of the most unspoken big issues when it comes to presidential elections, because I would argue that I would argue since 2008, every election has been decided on the Middle East outside of Joe Biden, because they stole that, so that doesn't really count. Obama won because he stood against Bush's wars. That's why Obama won. That's why he beat Hillary Clinton, because he was vocally against the wars in the Middle East. Same thing with Trump in 2015 and 2016. He was vocally against the wars in the Middle East. So I would argue that issue has actually gotten the last two presidents, Obama and Trump, elected. So I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens again in 2028. Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
What type of candidate do you think would emerge then as someone that could win in 2028? You think that someone that's anti-war, someone maybe, you think Thomas Massey has a chance to win? Who do you think is going to emerge as a candidate?
I think right now, I don't know if you could even say, I don't even know if you could say. I think it'll probably be a name that nobody even is thinking. It's not even on anybody's radar. I would say Massey is definitely one that could rise up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, she's there, but she might be a little too toxic. She kind of plays to her local district more so than the national game. And so I don't know if she would ever be, I don't know if she could ever reach that precipice of a presidential election, because the dogs would be out on her. But that also tends to help you. So that's kind of just a paradox. But no, I think Massey would get support from the left and the right, and that's what it takes to win an election now. Obama got support from the left and the right. Trump got support from the left and the right. So it kind of takes that coalition on the special issues. I don't know if Tucker Carlson would ever want to run, but he would probably make a lot of noise if he wanted to run. He would draw votes from the left and the right. And the more the people attack you, the more popular you get too. Same thing happened with Trump. So, but I don't think the leading candidate is even, I don't even think we're thinking about who it might be. I think Vivek Ramaswamy probably makes another run at it, and he's a good debater, and I think he's a very honest person, which is endearing to people. He needs to get a better makeup artist. Whoever did his makeup at his last event needs to be fired and maybe taken out back and beaten with a stick. That was just a criminal act they did to him with that face makeup job. And then I think Ron DeSantis, too. I do think Ron DeSantis is building his political capital up again in Florida. And really, if DeSantis ends property tax in Florida, and then he takes that to a national campaign, that would be very popular. That would be very popular. So I think DeSantis also. But at the end of the day, I think once we get there, I think there's going to be names on the board that we're not even anticipating right now.
probably right. In 2014, I was thinking it looks like Hillary Clinton's going to run unopposed, basically, and it's going to be the end of America. And then Trump appeared. So probably you're right that we don't even know who all the people are yet. I will say this, just living in Florida now, Ron makes a lot of great promises, and then it doesn't always come to fruition. So I don't know that he's going to have the capital that he would need. He'd have to actually deliver on some of these things.
Yeah, that's why I said if he actually cut the property taxes, then that would become a campaign podium for sure.
He has to deliver to have that cachet. NASCAR.
Well, if they try to throw another pandemic, DeSantis will win.
Well, I hope God forbid another pandemic.
Oh, we're getting another pandemic. I just don't.
We're getting one. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be this decade.
Listen, there's a prayer that we do during the high holidays to prevent any type of catastrophe like that from descending on the earth. So I was really focused on it this year, and every year since the pandemic, we're not getting any more pandemics. I prayed too hard.
But did we even have one though? Did we ever even have one? That's the real question. So your prayers were already answered.
Well, we had a psychological pandemic. That was something.
It's not a like that's not a conspiracy theorist. We didn't have a pandemic. We really didn't.
But we did have a psychological pandemic because it infected the minds of people.
Oh yeah,
that's still something.
I agree. I mean, like the virus arrived in like late September, early October of 2019, and it went unchecked for like 5 months. Like the first wave was actually over. It was just another cold.
It keeps
season.
making me jump when
like,
it
really all
actually, I got COVID in January of 2020.
Really silly.
I think somebody gave it to me in when I was in the DC jail because I came out of there sick as a dog. I've never been that sick. So I could understand if you actually got whatever it was going around. It was probably just some flu. Maybe it was hopped up in a lab and made worse. Yeah. I don't know all the facts about it. But I would understand if you got that for the first time and you saw on TV that it was killing people, that you would panic and think you're going to die.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't get sick. I never get sick. I don't even know if I've been sick since then. So if you were like, oh my gosh, this is going to kill me, I could see you panicking, going to a hospital.
Well, there was also that concerted effort, Owen, like Telegram and in the alternative media, these videos that were supposedly coming out of China of like you'd see a crowd and then someone randomly falls and is dead in the supermarket.
And they're in the hazmat suits and like
spraying
there were
hundreds of these videos out of China before we really even had like the CNN case counter on the screen to prime the public for the idea that this would be like a black plague situation.
Case counter just says they're just fucking playing in our faces. Like counting a case of a fucking cold is stupid as fuck. It's so wild. Like it's
so. Owen, I did want to ask you before because I know Alan's got like a hard cutoff.
I can go for a little bit longer.
Okay, what are some of the things that Trump has done so far in the second term that have impressed you? That have been like good things, improvements from the first term.
Well, I will never regret voting for Trump because he pardoned the January 6th defendants. Just for that alone, and released innocent men from prison. Just for that alone, I will never regret voting for Trump. Now, there are still some rights that need to be wronged at a very low level with some of the veterans that haven't had their benefits restored yet. So there are still some rights that can be wronged there, but they did get out of prison. So I'll never regret voting for Trump. And plus, he won in 2020, so he deserves his second term anyway. Mm-hmm. Whether or not I think that this administration gets an A or an F, he already won it again. So he gets his second term. He deserves it. So pardoning the J6 defendants, releasing the innocent men from prison, that's A+. That right there alone is worth it for me to vote for Trump. There's no doubt what he's done at the border has been a massive success. Mm-hmm. I tend to I get a little bittersweet about this because really it's like I shouldn't even be celebrating it. It's like I shouldn't be celebrating the fact that we have a secure border. That should be a given. I shouldn't be sitting here and being like, oh wow, thank God we finally have basic national security. It's like, duh, why wouldn't we? But to his credit, he did it. Border crossings are virtually down to nothing. And despite all the interference and everything, I do think they're doing a good job deporting the violent illegal aliens, the criminal ones. And it's been messy. It's not been perfect, so there's going to be room for error and there's going to be room for mistakes and criticism. But overall, If there's anywhere where they're doing a good job, I do think it's at the border certainly, and then they're at least trying with the deportations. It's been a little messy and nothing is perfect, but at least there's something there. We can point to something. We can point that there is action. I don't like Trump's priorities. I think that my big beef is I don't like Trump's priorities. However, I do have to acknowledge his effort and his desire to bring peace. I do think that comes from a genuine place. Quite frankly, I don't care if the rest of the world wants to kill themselves and kill everybody else. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't think we need anything to do with it. And I don't like that being a priority. But he is trying to get it done. I do think he's trying to stop these wars. I do think that comes from a genuine place. And I think he is trying in a good faith effort to do it. Whether he ends up being successful or not, that we'll end up seeing. But I do think that you have to admire at least that, whether or not you agree with it being a priority. Putting RFK Jr. in charge was a big move. And even that hasn't really gone all the way. Alan, you mentioned some of the things that they said would be happening that didn't happen. So even though that hasn't really gone all the way, just putting RFK Jr. up there, I think was a strong move. Putting Tulsi Gabbard in there, I think that was a strong move too. So that kind of shows that, hey, I'm going to let some of these anti-establishment voices be a part of this too, and they're going to get access to me no matter what. So I would say if I could point to three things, some of the cabinet selections have been strong. The execution at the border has been strong. And I think he genuinely does want to end these wars. Whether he can or not, I don't know. Whether it should be a priority or not, I say no. But I can't knock a guy for trying. I can't knock a guy for trying to stop wars. You have to at least acknowledge and admire that.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I'm focused on most politically and the goal that I want, that I think solves so many issues, is just mass deportations. And both all of the tens of millions of illegals that Biden let in, and I want to see the H-1Bs gone, all of the people taking American jobs. Trump's talking about making it more expensive for them to come here in the first place. So that's something. But I think you see more jobs for Americans with the more deportations you get. You see the prices of the housing market come down the more that you get deportations. And you were floating Massey as a candidate. My concern with him is that it seems like he always stands against building the border wall, things like that, at a critical juncture. So I hear what you're saying. You're exactly right that the candidate that was against war, and I remember Obama did get a lot of support because he had an anti-war stance. Like, there is a massive support for that on both sides of the aisle.
Oh my God.
But I think a lot of people have been tuned into the fact that deportations and mass deportations will fix a lot of the other issues that you were talking about, the job market, housing, prices, like that stuff. It all is like a domino effect, and Trump is doing way better than any past president in the last decades on those issues. And I think that will be a major issue in 2028. Who is going to ramp up deportations? Like, not who's going to continue it, who's going to ramp it up?
Yeah. And I think, too, when you talk about the simplest solution to a complex problem, you say, okay, deportations, that might be a little more of a complex solution, but still it's like, no, the policy is deportations. The policy is you're here illegally, you're getting deported. That's just the simple policy. Right. And I would say that another one of those is the welfare policies. You have to end the welfare state. It just has to end. And I would argue that stopping the illegal alien welfare was half of the battle, maybe even more, maybe even the majority of the battle of stopping all the illegals coming in was ending the welfare. Once they know there's no financial benefit, there's no welfare for them, they're not coming in anymore. It's not happening. So just having a good policy can stop that. Now, I'm not against the wall, but I can understand where Massey is coming from, saying, hey, maybe we don't need a wall. If we just have good policy and execute strong border security, then maybe a wall is unnecessary. I'm fine with the wall.
Well, if I may, Andrew, I feel like for me, deportations is like, it's very important. I would put it in my top 3 priorities, absolutely. I would say, though, that the biggest thing, in my opinion, that Trump and his administration needs to accomplish over the remainder of his administration is dismantling the radical left-wing networks, both the funders that allow and finance for the terrorism that we saw in 2020 on the streets, that we're seeing starting to rear its head, as well as the NGOs that facilitate their release and the agitation. It's a complicated, interconnected system of patronage and organizations that have allowed for the left to gain power and dominate to such an extent that they are comfortable openly celebrating targeted assassinations. And they only go in one direction. So, in my mind, dismantling and removing the ability of these people to ever touch political power is the overriding concern for the administration. It is literally life and death.
I have the solution that solves both of these problems. We deport George Soros.
I don't know. I think he might do it from like an island or a volcano or a lab or something.
Can we do like a thing where we like earmark his money with like radiation or something, and so we can follow wherever
They were
it goes?
talking about this with the FTO designation for Antifa. It hasn't gone through officially yet as policy at state, but it seems like there are strong indications that they're going to continue to move in that direction. We saw that with the indictment in Texas of the Antifa terror cell that had the July 4th ambush. If they go forward and officially designate them as an FTO, Soros is done for. These other groups, a lot of the right-wing billionaires that are like allegedly on the right wing, are very much complicit in these entities, and that gives the lawful authority to do everything on my wish list as far as removing the enemies of America.
Yeah, let it be known, no one dislikes George Soros more than the Jews at the Jewcast. We want him out of here.
You know, the thing is that I agree. I mean, you're basically talking about how the government is corrupt to the core. Like, I think that we just need to get there. And I know I'm a very black pill person, but our government is not savable. Like, picture this. We have all known the USDA food pyramid has been bullshit for decades, right? Like, there's jokes about it. It's in our culture. We know it's a fucking joke. But if that means if it's bought off, paid for, and corrupt, the entire government is. They all know it's bullshit. Like, we have an entire wing of the government that's responsible for health. The CDC, the NIH, the FDA, everything like that.
Like, if I go to a tire shop and I pay off the mechanic an extra $50 so that he puts the premium tires on instead of the regular ones, and he pockets it and the shop loses out, that doesn't mean that the CEO of the tire company is like in bed with the mafia cutting down the rubber trees in South America. Similarly,
How would you not? So the argument is they're ignorant or they're complicit. Either which way, they shouldn't be in charge.
Yeah, there's a lot of corruption.
I mean, what the reality is, like, in the last 40 or 50 years, we have went from a country that was healthy as fuck to the sickest country in the world that spends the most money. That is facilitated by the United States government, and people need to start accepting that. The big food couldn't have become big food without big government, and the pharmaceutical industry couldn't have been anything without the government, because they're the ones that gave them immunity to a lot of shit. Reality is, the government is corrupt to the fucking core, like to the core. We keep changing the figureheads on the main dial and think it's going to change shit. Our government is corrupt to the fucking core. All these people voted on all this shit that Doge found, like the $1 million for tiddlywinks for trans people in fucking Aruba, like all that crazy shit. Like, they voted on all this shit. Like, that's how we got all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, our government is corrupt as fuck, and we're not going to vote our way out of it.
Well, I agree with you if Kamala had won this last election, but I think right now we have like a 3-year opportunity that's rapidly diminishing, and I think we need to capitalize on the moment before we take the black pill.
Well, that's why Pam Bondi needs to go. That's why.
Right.
But
I'm sure they thought of it.
But I think it's pretty clear at this point. I don't think Trump has any interest in shrinking the government. I don't really think that's it. I don't think that's in Trump's interest. So I understand where Alan is coming from with that frustration. Is you get the government out of our lives, you know. And I think maybe there was a misinterpretation when Trump talked about giving the country back to the people. We thought that meant getting the government out of our lives. And I think it turns out it's more of a superficial thing. Like, hey, I'm going to build a ballroom and invite you. You know, hey, I'm gonna bring people into the White House and I'm gonna give you guys more access and more.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get you guys involved more. But we're not actually getting the government out of your life. It may end up being in 3 years the government is more involved in our life than ever before if they build this AI tech grid. So that could we'll see where that goes. But I think generally speaking, getting the government out of our lives, and that's why it's like I'm against the welfare state. Cut taxes, whatever just gets the government out of our lives. That's I think the easiest solution to most of these problems. Get government out of our lives, get them out of our transactions, and like what you were saying, Alan, all of these Republicans voted to expand FISA. I think that vote was just 2 years ago. They all voted to expand FISA. They passed that, and now they find out that they were getting spied on, and they want to complain. Oh my gosh, I was getting spied on by the Democrats. You voted for this. They legally spied on you because of a bill you voted for. So you can complain all you want. You literally voted for it, and it was legal what they did, and you made it legal.
So that's another reason that I focus on mass deportations. Indians, for example, they vote 70% Democrat. Like all of the third world that's coming here, they all come here, they vote Democrat. If the Democrats ever get power again, the control grid that you're talking about, they will be as bad as communist China in this country if the Democrats are allowed to take power again. So that's why I always focus on deporting these people, and because we have to have a conversation with Americans in the first place, like people that understand First Amendment, Bill of Rights, Constitution, and not just people coming here because they want to be on the government dole. They want welfare like they get in European countries and like we've been giving them. So like we have to be able to have a conversation with the American people, and it's not possible when the people here, like the New York City election is not being decided by Americans, it's being decided by people that just got there, and the guy that's going to win the race is someone that just got there. So that's why I focus on that all the time. I'm curious, Owen, I got a question for you. The question I wanted to ask you before you came on the show is if you could press a button and deport every Somalian in Minneapolis, would you do it? But the question I'm thinking of now, just talking to you, is like, what conversation, we're being so infiltrated, OG MAGA, all that. Like, what conversation do you think is not being had? Because so many people are siloed off, where it's like, they're focused on this, or they're not allowed to say that. And like, what major conversation do you think is not being had in the right wing?
I would say the potential disaster that this AI system that's being built could represent. I think it actually represents a lot of issues aside from just the potential for AI surveillance tyranny. I think it also could potentially be a massive energy sector issue. I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse on this issue, and if we don't start generating new energy, whether it's a nuclear push or something else, we don't have the energy grid to support this. We simply don't. Well, America, where it stands, we don't have the energy grid to support the microchip processing and the microchip manufacturing and all the AI data centers. We simply don't have it. And so you're either going to have a situation where all these processing plants and data centers have their own source of energy, like their own fusion or nuclear core, which could happen. There are some examples of that being successful. But we're not really thinking about that. If they bring in this AI energy grid and then they want to do this whole golden dome, we're basically doubling our energy needs overnight like that. We're doubling it. And yet, is anything being addressed to actually support these things that we're trying to build? So I would say that that's